We just got a new UA an hour or two ago, and I'm quite excited to share it with you. I haven't read through it yet. This is my first time seeing it. I just found out that it was released and wanted to give my first thoughts and impressions going through it here as I go through it with you for the first time. Maybe this is your first time reading it too. Seems like we got Wonders of the Multiverse, which sounds really cool. If I had to guess, this is Spelljammer stuff that's upcoming, which sounds really cool. Though it seems to be kind of a mix of things. I'm seeing giants in here, and that's quite cool. Spells is something that I'm always excited to see. It's always great to have new spells, and I'm really excited to read them. So yeah, if you enjoy this or any of my other videos, be sure to leave a like on this, subscribe, and comment what you think about this new UI. I'd love to hear your opinion. So yeah, let's jump into it. This is all gonna be one take, which is new for me. So let's hope I don't misread too much. This playtest document contains the following things. Glitchling, these mechanical servants of law, seek to experience all the multiverse has to offer. A cleric subclass called the Fate domain, which is awesome. I really like that. I've actually had an idea for a similar thing myself, though I haven't published it yet, I don't think. There are a bunch of backgrounds, which is quite cool. The Gate Warden, Giant Foundling, Planar Philosopher, and Rune Carver. Feats, which is also cool. They've been doing a lot of feats in recent UAs, particularly players who want to link their characters to giants, prior to magic, and the planes. And spells, which is a variety of spells exploring fate and chance. So they get into the standard creating your character things. These have been standard since Tasha's, as they've all been the kind of variable +2 to one score, +1 to another score, or +1 to 3 scores. I think that's really good. I like that a lot. I've talked about it in other videos. Let's jump into the first new thing here, that being the Glitchling. Created by forces of planar law, glitchlings are winged human-like creatures made from a merger of metallic and machine. These explorers seek to learn all they can about the multiverse and its creatures. Some glitchlings can then carry what they learn back to lawful planes, like mechanists, to inform the orderly working of the multiverse. Others become enamored with the travel and people they encounter, and they seek to make a life of their own amongst the planes. Glitchlings begin their existences with rudimentary personalities, and as they absorb information and experiences, their personalities grow, but they may retain quirks associated with their lawful origins. You can roll or choose a quirk from the orderly quirk table or create your own. It's a D6 table here of quirks. I always love it when races have these of just flavor elements. You can tie in the race right off the bat. I find it's really helpful for new players, helping to get into character, and I really enjoy it. So let's get into the actual traits themselves here. They're a construct with a speed of 30 feet and a size of medium. That's all pretty standard. I think the Warforged is nearly the same on all of those, though I'm not sure if they're a construct. That's pretty unique. Armored plating. Your metal skin is reinforced with armor plates. While you're not wearing armor, your base armor class is 14 plus your dex modifier. This is a really, really good feature, especially for sorcerers and wizards. If I had to give a criticism of that, I think 14 is a little high. Tortle is 17, I believe, and even that is quite a bit. And I think that overall it's probably going to get balanced down in a future version of the final version of this, but we'll see. Balance Chaos. When you make an attack roll or a saving throw and roll a 9 or lower on the d20, you can balance Chaos and treat the roll as a 10. You can balance Chaos in a way a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. That's a really cool feature. It's very similar to the, the Clockwork Soul Sorcerer, which is a favorite sorcerer subclass of mine, so I'm really excited to see that here. And it seems nice to have that just as a free thing you can do. It's actually not a reaction even, which is remarkable. You can do this as many times as you'd like in a round, albeit limited by your proficiency bonus. Living Construct is the next thing. That being that you're able to benefit from several spells that preserve life, but normally don't affect constructs, those being Cure Wounds, Healing Word, Mass Cure Wounds, Mass Healing Word, and Spare the Dying. These are quite useful. It allows you to just get healing, which you would not normally be able to get as a construct or as an undead, which is essential to just be a D&D character. However, overall, I think that this does have a big blind spot. That is that it says nothing about being able to resurrect them after they've died. So that's a tad concerning, because those are considered healing spells. You regain 1 hit point with Revivify and so on. And I think that maybe at least one of those should be included here. And it's also worth saying that heal is excluded from this, and mass heal. So some of the higher level healing options, they do not have the ability to do either. But overall, I think it's a pretty balanced feature. We also saw it on the Auto Gnome. I think it said a similar thing then. Ordered Mind is next. You have advantage on Wisdom insight checks and have advantage on saving throws made to avoid or end the charmed condition on yourself. This makes sense. You kind of are a machine and have the ability to just read people more easily and avoid charms just due to your programming, essentially. And the last thing here is the Vestigial Wings. You have Vestigial Wings that allow limited flight. When you move, you can engage your wings to gain a flying speed equal to your walking speed until the end of your current turn. If you are still aloft at the end of the turn with nothing else supported you, you fall. You can use this trait a number of times equal to your efficiency bonus, and you can regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. That is a really cool feature. They've been getting flying, excuse me, they've been giving flying to a lot more races lately, and I think it's really cool that they're exploring new ways to do that. And I really like, particularly, the ability that this is temporary, and you only get so many uses of it. It's a great way to balance an ability as powerful as flying. Next up is the Cleric subclass. We haven't got one of these in quite a while. I believe we haven't gotten a Cleric subclass since Tasha's, that being Fate Domain. Gods of fate perceive the future and how choices mortals make drive them towards their destinies. Some deities consider the future preordained, while others, let me scroll, understand the multiverse as a place of infinite possibility. Clerics who draw power from the forces of fate sometimes receive visions directly from their deity and receive fleeting omens of the future. They share impossible knowledge with their allies and prophesize their enemies' doom. There are a list of example deities based on the pantheon, which is quite cool. Domain spells. These are important for a cleric. Dissonant Whispers and Heroism, both of which are pretty good. Dissonant Whispers is a really great low-level damage option. Psychic damage. It forces people to run away with their reactions if they fail to save. Overall, really good spell. See Invisibility, Warding Bond. Nothing really to write home about there. Both are situational, but both are nice to always have prepared as a cleric in case you need them in whatever situation in which they may come up. Beacon of Hope and Clairvoyance, also pretty decent. Clairvoyance is pretty good. Beacon of Hope is also pretty good, but it's also a cleric spell and one that I often see people prepare. So it'll be nice to have people able to just have that ready at any point. Death Ward and Divination are both staple cleric spells that will be very handy to have prepared at all times. Only downside of those two is the fact that you aren't getting any other cool spells that you would be able to otherwise pick up from other spell lists. Like I know the Trickery Domain, it's like Polymorph. And 9 to get Commune and Geese. I always have trouble pronouncing that spell. Really, really good spells. Commune is a great cleric spell, and Geese is not normally on the cleric list, and it's a very powerful charm spell. I would be excited to see a cleric have that one. So you get 2 features at first level, it looks like. Yep, 2 features. Omen's Importance, which is the first feature. You can perceive signs of the future in everyday objects and events, such as the flights of birds or ripples made in the water by a thrown stone. You can cast the Augury spell without expending a spell slot, and when you cast a spell in this way, the spell has no verbal, somatic, or material components. When you cast a spell in this way, you cannot do so again until you finish a long rest. In addition, until you finish a long rest, when you cast a divination spell that includes the chance that the DM gives you a no answer or a random reading, such as Augury, Commune, and Divination, reduce that chance by 25%. That is a really cool, more flavors feature than anything else, but getting in the Augury spell for free once a day, you can cast without any components whatsoever, so nobody has to know that you're casting it. It's just incredible. I think it's really nice to have that and really aids to the feeling that you are this oracle figure. I really like that, and I think it's not too powerful. I think that both of the clerics in Tasha's were too powerful, and this seems a lot more balanced, at least from the first feature. But we'll see it after the second one. Ties That Bind, which is a very good Bruce Springsteen song, if you haven't heard it. You can temporarily tie your fate to others. As an action, you can touch one object or creature and magically tie a strand of fate from yourself to it for 1 hour or until you use this feature again. An unwilling creature must succeed on a wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC to resist the effect. While the target is bound to you on the same plane of existence as you, you can sense its direction and the direction of its movement if it is in motion. So you can... Okay, that's interesting. In addition, once per turn when casting a spell on the target to deal damage or store hit points, roll a d6. They store extra hit points or get extra damage based on the number rolled. And you get this proficiency number of times, as is standard by now. That's really interesting. It's similar to some peace domain stuff where you bind allies, but I love the potentiality of doing this on either an ally or an enemy. That's a really creative feature, and I think it can have a lot of use cases, which I love. And unlike the other cleric subclasses in Tasha's, I think that the features around it are not so overpowered to make this completely game breaking. At least so far. I have not read the end of this subclass, which we're going to get into now. Strands of Fate is your second level Channel Divinity feature. You can use your Channel Divinity to see and manipulate the strands of fate that weave around other individuals. As a bonus action, you can enter the state for up to 1 minute or until you use concentration, as if you're concentrating on a spell. For the duration, whenever another creature you can see makes an attack roll and a ability check, you can use a reaction to give the roll advantage or disadvantage, your choice. That's quite powerful. I really like that. You enter this prophetic state. That's really flavorful. I'd love to see that if it's, as a spell if this wasn't a feature already, but I think that it's pretty reasonable in terms of balance. You can only do this once per round as a reaction, and it's a concentration, and it's within sight, so it's a very large range. But you cannot do it on saves, which is a big thing. I'm sure at certain phases of testing they had this on saves, and it was probably way too powerful, which is not surprising at all. But overall, I think that's a very cool channel divinity. I like it a lot, and I don't think it's too powerful or too weak. Insightful Striking is your 6th level feature. As a bonus action, you can choose one creature you can see within 30 feet of yourself. Your magic grants a brief vision of the target's defenses. Until the end of your next turn, you gain insight into one of the following effects of your choice. The next time you make an attack roll against the target, roll d6 and add a number rolled to the total, or the number rolled to the total. I apologize. This is my first time reading through this again. The next time the target must make a saving throw against a spell you cast, must roll a d6 and subtract that number rolled from the saving throw. Wow, that's quite good. You can use that equal to your efficiency bonus and regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. I think that this feature is the first thing in the subclass that stands out to me as overpowered. Particularly this aspect, the next time a target must make a saving throw, you can roll a d6 and subtract that. That is massive on a saving throw, and saving throws are often such influential effects that it's really going to matter. I think that if this feature is going to be tied to saving throws, maybe make it once per long rest instead of proficiency bonus. But if it were just attack rolls, I think that that would be completely acceptable to be proficiency bonus number of times. Potent spellcasting is another pretty standard cleric feature. You add your wisdom modifier to the damage you deal with any cantrip. And Visions of the Future is your capstone. Your knowledge of the future allows you to guide an individual to achieve their greatest possible success. You can cast the Foresight spell once per day without expending a spell slot. When you cast a spell in this way, the spell duration is 1 minute for that casting. That's really cool. You get a free 9th level spell, but for like 1/60th of the duration. I think it's an hour. It might be 8 hours, in which case it's a lot less than a 60th. And it's a really powerful spell. That's really cool. I like that. My only gripe with it is that I'd hoped it would be like a unique feature, not just kind of a you get a spell once per day. But this is still quite good. I think I've been a little spoiled by the Tal'Dorei Reborn clerics. We get some really cool capstones, but overall, I really like this cleric subclass. The flavor is great. The features are not too overpowered, save for the one I talked about with insightful striking. And now let's move on to the backgrounds. So this is going to be a little more rushing through on my part because this is a 12-page PDF that I need to get through, and I just realized I'm on page 3. Bonus feats are here to stay, it seems. They've been a thing in all of the recent UAs, and I think it's really cool to see them just be this influential to the game. And I think it's great to have players just get a feat at level 1. It really allows for a lot more customization in builds, and players can do a lot more. There are a lot of feats here that are presented in this document that we'll get to. The various backgrounds, Gate Warden, which is you essentially guard a portal for a certain amount of time, it looks like. You get Persuasion and Survival, which makes sense. You can survive around portals and persuade people to not enter them, assumedly. You get 2 languages and some equipment. You also get Planar Infusion, which is quite cool. You also get the personality traits, trinkets. It's great that they have both of these for all of these backgrounds. Giant Foundling, which is quite cool. That could be great for a Goliath or a Fearbolg, or even a smaller race. I could love playing like a Halfling who's a Giant Foundling. You get Intimidation and Survival, you get 2 languages, and you get equipment, as well as origin stories, which is quite cool. Yeah, overall, these seem really cool. Planar Philosopher, it's very fun. I like Philosopher characters. Arcana and Persuasion are your skills. 2 languages of your choice. Equipment, same as normal. That's weird. Maybe they forgot. Oh, they do have a feature. Strike of Giants feat. Oh, you just gain a feat as your feature for this one. That makes sense. Planar Philosopher. Let's see. Rune Carver. That's interesting. They had a Rune Carver feat last Unearthed Arcana. I wonder if this ties into that. History and Perception are your skills. You get Giant in another language of your choice. And furthermore, you get the Rune Carver Apprentice feat. They must have redone that. That's interesting. We'll have to go see that. Feats. We are at the feats. We're fully in level requirement territory here. We have a whole bunch of feats that are required either 1st, 4th level. which is quite cool. This is a really large number of feats and a lot of variety. So let's start going through them. Agent of Order is a half feat. You can channel cosmic forces in order to look into the multiverse for patterns. Actions are your own to choose, but these forces grant you the following benefits. So you can increase any ability score, and Stasis Strike allows you to damage a creature and deal an extra 1d8 force damage, and restrain them with spectral bindings on a Wisdom save. You can manifest them in whatever flavor you like, it says here. I really like that. You just get a free smite a number of times equal to resistancy bonus. Makes sense that this is not until 4th level, I think it is. Or, yeah, Agent of Order's 4th level. But yeah, that's quite powerful and quite cool. Baleful Scion, not Scion. Oh, my cat's saying hi. He must like the new UA too. Agent of nope, that was the one I just read. Baleful Scion is you channel cosmic forces of evil that cause pain but invigorate your being. You choose your own actions despite this malign connection. It's interesting that they all say you choose your own actions. So you increase an ability score, same as the last one, and you get a life-draining grasp. The damage equals to 1d6 plus your recency bonus to a melee weapon attack, and you regain a number of hit points equal to the necrotic damage dealt from this feature, which is quite powerful. I like that a lot. Another really cool, flavorful smite feature. I like both of those quite a bit, and I think they're really well balanced overall. Cartomancer is a 4th level feat. It is a sorcerer, warlock, or wizard class requirement. It's cool that we're getting more class requirements, and these ones had prerequisites of other feats, which is quite interesting. I forgot to address that. You can use a deck of cards as your spellcasting focus, which is really cool. I think they made a subclass for this in some D&D Beyond release like a year or two ago, but it's cool to see it officialized in a feat. You get card tricks, which is the prestidigitation cantrip. You can use it to create illusions or duplicate effects of stage magic. You can conceal the verbal and somatic components, which is quite cool. You also get to roll a d4 and gain bonus to the damage rolls equal to that if you're using your cards as spellcasting focus. And Hidden Ace is the last ability. When you finish a long rest, you can choose one spell that you know and imbue it into a card. And the chosen spell, instead of casting on one action, and this level must be less than or equal to your recency bonus. While the card is imbued with the spell, you can use your bonus action to flourish the card and cast a spell within. The card immediately then loses its magic. That's quite interesting. So you can make any spell a bonus action once. My only gripe with that is it might be good to specify if that counts as you casting a spell, because if you use this as a bonus action, you cannot cast another leveled spell in the turn if it is you casting the spell, which is food for thought. Cohort of Chaos is next up. You get an ability score increase, same as the other one. Chaotic Flare, whenever you roll a 1 or a 20 on an attack roll or saving throw, the magic of chaos flows through you. Oh, this is cool. This is a random table. You get a Chaos Flare that is a d4. You get either Disruption Field, which is 1d8 force damage in an area whenever a creature other than you starts its turn in the area or moves into that area. Battle Fury, which is a creature of your choice, is filled with Reckless Fury. It has advantage on attack rolls and disadvantage on ability checks, which could be great if you want to do that on a caster. Unbound, when you move, you can use some or all of your speed to teleport once, along with all equipment you're moving and carrying, up to the distance that distance into an unoccupied space you can see, which is quite cool. Get around opportunity attacks. And Wailing Winds. Howling winds swirl around you in a 60-foot radius. You and any creature in that radius has disadvantage on wisdom saves. You can also forcibly release a Chaotic Flare as a bonus action, rolling the table as normal to determine the effects. You can use this bonus action a number of times equal to your efficiency bonus, and you regain uses when you finish a long rest as normal. It is cool that you have the unlimited uses of this so long as you're rolling really well or really poorly on attacks and saving throws, but that is a really cool feature. I love random tables, and it's great to see more of them in the game. Ember the Fire Giant. We're going to go even faster now because I am getting tired of talking. This is a meaty UA. You get an increase to a specific score this time, either Strength, Con, or Wisdom. You get resistance to fire damage, and you get the ability to make a magical burst of flame on a weapon attack. That does, let me see. Each creature of your choice within 15 feet of you must make a dex save and take 1d8 fire damage, fire damage equal to 1d8 plus your agency bonus and be blinded until the start of your next turn. On a successful save, the creature takes half as much damage and isn't blinded. I don't like this one. If these giant ones are all the same, I don't think I'm going to like any of them, particularly because I feel like this is just straight up more powerful than these ones, which I thought were pretty reasonably powered. These are both effects that you can get on an attack roll, but this one also has resistance to fire damage, which is an incredibly common damage type. In addition to this being an AoE for just about as much damage as this one was, the Stasis Strike. And them being blinded potentially, which is huge. Fury of the Frost Giant, same thing. Resistance to cold damage, increase your strength, constitution, or wisdom. Frigid Retaliation, whenever a creature you can see within 30 feet of you hits you in an attack roll and deals damage, you can use reaction to retaliate with a Conjured Blast of Ice. On a failed save, they take 1d8 plus your efficiency bonus, and the speed is halved. This one I think is less of an issue power-wise, because cold is less common damage type, and overall reactions tend to have fewer uses generally. And I think that adding it just for free to attacks is generally quite powerful, especially if it's an AoE. Guile of the Cloud Giant, Dexterity, Con, or Charisma, slightly different ability scores than the last two. Cloudy Escape, whenever a creature hits you with an attack roll, creature that you can see hits you with an attack roll, you can use your reaction to give yourself resistance to that attack's damage. You can then teleport into an unoccupied space you can see within 30 feet of yourself. You can use reaction a number of times to equal half your efficiency bonus. And you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Overall, I think that's a lot more balanced. It's similar to the Shatter Kai racial ability from Monsters of the Multiverse. And overall, I like that it's half your efficiency bonus rounded up. That makes it a lot more balanced. Keenness of Stone Giant, you get Strength, Wisdom, or Con, same as the last couple, or the previous couple. Stone Throw, you can touch a rock that can fit into the hollow of your hand and imbue it with magic. You can throw it essentially 60 feet with a long range of 180 feet, deals 1d10 bludgeoning damage, strength save, or be knocked prone. Magic remains on the rock until you hit with it or finish a long rest. You can imbue a number of rocks equal to efficiency bonus as a bonus action, and regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. And you also gain Dark Vision. This one is also, I think, on the too powerful side. I think it's Dark Vision is quite a lot. Outlands Envoy. You get an ability score increase, and Crossroads Emissary, you get Misty Step and Tongues, I think both of which are pretty powerful. You can have no material components when casting Tongues, and you can also cast those with spell slots you have to an appropriate level. This is also quite powerful. I get that it's 4th level or higher, but getting both of those spells is quite a bit, plus an ability score bonus. I think that Fey Touch is already almost too powerful. I think this is more powerful than that. Planar Wanderer. We're almost done with the feats here. Planar Adaptation. When you finish a long rest, you gain resistance to either acid, cold, or fire damage, your choice. Portal Cracker. You have experience with portals and allows you to operate with them without the proper portal key. Sorry, that was a tongue twister. As an action, you can concentrate on the portal if you're aware of it and make a DC 20 Wisdom check. On a failure, you can take 3d8 force damage. You can't use this feature until on that portal again until you finish a long rest. You can force a portal open or close for 1 hour. That's really cool. That just gives you a new action to do with portals. I love that. You can also portal sense, very similar to the Horizon Walker Ranger. That's a really cool feat. I would love to take that. I don't think it's too powerful at all, mostly due to how situational but powerful its abilities are. Righteous Heretore. Heretore? I don't think I've ever seen that word before. Sign of the Outer Planes, good Outer Plane feat. Ability score increase, Soothe Pain. Whenever a creature you can see within 30 feet of you takes damage, you can reduce that a number of times equal to efficiency bonus, equal to 1d10 plus your efficiency bonus. Not too powerful at all. I think that's pretty reasonable. It's a pretty small range specifically. Runecarver Apprentice. It's pretty similar to how it was last time. I think some of the spells are mixed up, if I recall. Runecarver Adept is the same thing, but you get battle runes, healing runes, and runic winds, which is you can give them advantage on the next attack roll, one creature of your choice within 30 feet. Healing runes, which gains temporary hit points equal to your level, and runic winds, which allows one creature within 30 feet of yourself to not provoke opportunity attacks and have 10 feet of faster walking speed. Sign of Elemental Air. Okay, these are all signs of Elemental something. You get these are essentially designed to be the entry level feats from what it said in the background. You get a cantrip, and you get an ability. So you get Minor Illusion and Wind's Glide, which is flying speed equals your walking speed as a bonus action. You can drop from it. Essentially, it's similar to the race at the top of this thing. Glitchling, I think it was called, excuse me. But overall, I think that this is a pretty cool feat. It's nice to have first level options. Plane of Elemental Earth, you get Druidcraft. an Earthen Shield. As a bonus action, you can conjure a Bulwark of Earth that provides half cover to you or a creature of your choice within 30 feet of yourself. The Bulwark remains until the start of your next turn. You can create this Bulwark a number of times equal to your efficiency bonus, and you gain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. You also get a Sign of Elemental Fire, Dancing Lights, Fervent Blaze, Produce Flame. That's pretty cool. Sign of Water. You get Thaumaturgy. I would have preferred Shape Water, but either works. Wave Surge. I think Shape Water just makes a lot more sense. Strength save to a creature within 15 feet of you as a bonus action. DC is your spellcasting modifier you chose for Thaumaturgy. On a failed save, they're pushed 10 feet away from you or 10 feet towards you. That's pretty cool. Sign of the Outer Plane gives you a different cantrip based on the alignment of the plane. And that's also pretty cool. You also get Soul of the Storm Giant, which is an ability score increase to your intelligence, wisdom, or charisma, and a Maelstrom aura, which is really interesting. A bonus action, you surround yourself with an aura of magical wind and lightning that descends 10 feet from you in every direction, but not through total cover. The aura lasts until the start of your next turn or until you're incapacitated. While the aura is active, the attack rolls against you have disadvantage. Whenever a creature starts its turn within the aura, they must make a strength save. On a failed save, the creature's speed is halved until the start of its next turn. That's pretty powerful. I like that a lot. And Strike of Giants. No requirements on this one. That's quite unique compared to the other ones. You essentially get a bonus depending on what kind of giant you call, which is quite cool. You choose one, and as a bonus action, you can imbue your attacks with their specific thing. Other things are all here. I'm not going to read through all of these because I don't have the vocal energy for it at the moment, and I'm still excited to get to the spells, which I believe are on the next page. Yes, they are in sight. Haha. Oh, that's not a ton of them. Those are quite cool. Card-themed spells. I am excited. Vigor of the Hill Giant increases your constitution by 1 to a maximum of 20, and Bulwark. Whenever you're subjected to an effect that will move you at least 5 feet or knock you prone, you can use your action to steady yourself. You were neither moved nor knocked prone. Iron Stomach. Whenever you eat food as part of a short rest and spend 1 or more hit dice to regain hit points, you regain additional hit points equal to con modifier plus your efficiency bonus. Don't think that one's too powerful. I like it a lot. Let's get into the spells. Inspired by the Deck of Many Things. That's rad. This section contains new spells that the DM may add to a campaign, making them available to player characters and monster spellcasters alike. The card spells table lists the new spells, ordering them by level. The table also requires notes the school of magic of each spell, whether it requires concentration, whether it bears the ritual tag, or which classes have access to it. Spray of cards, Antagonize, House of Cards, Summon Warrior Spirit, Spirit of Death. Antagonize. You whisper magical words to antagonize one creature of your choice within range. Creature must make a wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, they take 4d4 psychic damage and must immediately use its reaction, if available, to make a melee attack against another creature of your choice that you can see. If no other creature is within range, the target has disadvantage on the next attack roll it makes before the start of your next turn. At higher levels, the damage increases by 1d4. It's an action, range is 30 feet. The components are a playing card depicting a rogue, and the duration is instantaneous. That's quite cool. I love the effect, being able to cause an enemy to hit another enemy. I think that's really, really powerful, especially if like, oh, antagonize a dragon, have it hit one of its minions, or vice versa. And I like that there's an effect added to it if it doesn't happen to be close enough to somebody to have that effect immediately active. I really like that it has that kind of fail state to it. House of Cards is 3rd level concentration. It is 1 minute casting time, range of touch. It has a deck of cards as a component. Duration is 24 hours. You touch the ground and conjure forth a defensive structure made of enormous playing cards. The structure rises with you at its center, harmlessly lifting you and any creatures in the area. The House of Cards is a square base that is 30 feet on each side and has 3 floors with 10-foot-high ceilings. The second floor is 20 feet on each side, and the top floor is 10 feet on each side, both centered above the bottom floor. Ramps connect the interior of each floor, and empty door frames connect the interior and exterior of each level. Creatures inside or on top of the structure have half cover. Each card that comprises the house is 5 feet wide and 10 feet tall and is very fragile. The card has AC 10 and 1 hit point, immune to poison and psychic damage. Reducing card to 0 hit points destroys it. Every time a card is destroyed, roll 1d6. If you roll a 5 or a 6, the house collapses, ending the spell. The house and all of its cards vanish when the spell ends. This is such a fun spell. I think this is my favorite spell that they've released in the past probably 5 years. It's so flavorful, and I absolutely love it. This is 10 out of 10 for me. Spirit of Death is a little bit of a change of pace from that one. You go from the whimsical House of Cards to Spirit of Death. 4th level Necromancy, 1 action, range 60 feet, verbal somatic material, gilded playing card depicting an avatar of death worth at least 400 GP. You call forth a spirit that embodies death itself. Choose a creature you see within range. Spirit manifests in an occupied space you can see within 10 feet of the target. The target becomes haunted by the spirit. Your target uses a Reaper stat block. Okay, so this is the standard summoning stuff that has been normal since Tasha's. It goes up at higher levels, 5th level and higher. This is quite cool. There's a card in the deck of many things that allows you to summon essentially an avatar that you have to fight or die, essentially, and this is really cool to do that to another player or another character or an enemy. I apologize, I'm thinking from the DM point of view here. Reaper Spirit, medium undead, 11 plus level of the spell, which is normally 4th, so it's 15 as a base, 10 plus each spell slot level above 3rd. It's 4th, so I assume this means this should be 4th instead of 3rd. It's probably just a typo. This is UA. Straight 16s across the board. That's pretty unique. Immune to necrotic and poison damage, immune to some conditions, understands languages you speak, incorporeal movement, if I could speak. Reaver can move through other creatures and objects as though they were difficult terrain. If it ends its turn inside an object, it is shunted to the nearest unoccupied space and deals 1d10 force damage every 5 feet traveled, or takes 1d10 force damage. Hunting Tracker. You and the Reaper can sense the direction of the hunted creature when on the same plane of existence. Gets multi-attack, paralyzing fear, gets a once per day ability. Overall, this seems pretty cool. It's a nice summon spell. I like it a lot. Spray of cards. It's 2nd level conjuration, 1 action. 50-foot cone, deck of cards is your component. Instantaneous. You spray spectral cards from your hands or sleeve. The colors blind and slash at your enemies. Then vanish. Choose one of the following effects for the cards. Blinding cards. A 15-foot cone must succeed on a wisdom save or be blinded. I feel like it should be Dex or Con. Wisdom doesn't really make sense if they're being hit in the face with cards. And cutting cards, which is 2d10 force damage on a dexterity save. I think it should be slashing if the cards are cutting you, but overall, I think that's pretty good. Summon Warrior Spirit. So this is another summon spell. It's the Warrior Spirit from the deck of many things. It's the Knight card. It's a very fun one. I know I loved when Grog pulled that in Critical Role in the Battle Royale. It's one of my favorite moments from the first campaign. Warrior Spirit is undead, which is pretty cool. It's like Aragorn in Book 3. It's really cool. You can get different versions of it, Fighter, Barbarian, and Monk. That's really cool, especially if you're doing a party without any of those. You can just summon them. High Strength, Dex, and Con. High Wisdom, pretty low everything else. You get multi-attack. Barbarian only gets Reckless Strike. It is an advantage attack. And attacks against this thing have an advantage, but it does 1d12 plus 3 plus the spell's level, which is, I believe, 3rd level. Yep, so that would be plus 3. Rallying Strike, which is fighter only, that allows you to do 1d6 plus at least 6 piercing damage, and the warrior can choose another creature. It can do within 20 feet of itself to gain 1d6 temporary hit points. An Unarmed Strike, monk only, which is lower damage. They must make a strength save or be knocked prone, and they get Flurry of Blows, which means they get an extra attack if they're a monk, which is quite cool. Overall, this UA was so good. Might be my favorite UA of the year so far. This was very beefy, a lot of reading. I need to sit on all these things for a while. The spells are far and away the highlight for me. I love the card-based magic. And overall, I loved most of this UA. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Be sure to comment below, like and subscribe, like I said at the top of the video. And yeah, thank you all for joining me. I will see you all soon.